there are instances जब सही as a student आपको समझ आ रही होती है बट शायद आपके पेरेंट्स को समझ नहीं आ रही होती, राइट? कि मतलब your parents expect you कि भाई आप भी उसकी तरह ही अच्छा करोगे.
यार जब आपके 4 भाई होते हैं ना,
हाँ,
और आप दूसरे तीसरे पे होते हो, तो आपको उतनी मार नहीं पड़ रही होती जितने चौथे को पड़ रही होती. Sparked me to move and switch away was during COVID. I used to ask myself this question, and I think it's super important for everybody to ask this question to themselves, is wherever you are, in whatever role you are, fast forward yourself 5 to 10 years and look at anybody in your company that is 5 to 10 years ahead, maybe even 15 years ahead, and just picture yourself in that position or in that seat. And then the first question you should ask yourself is, do you want that life?
अब तो हम ये बात ना करें अगर आपका फोन चोरी हुआ तो आपका फोन चोरी हुआ है
2-3 बार 3 बार.
सबसे कोई फनी स्टोरी या सबसे कोई स्कैरी स्टोरी?
सबसे फनी स्टोरी थी, मैं स्टोर गया था, ऐसे रैंडमली मेरा मूड हुआ था फॉर सम रीजन, पता नहीं क्यों. मैंने बोला यार, बिकॉज आई वाज अ वेरी बिग स्नैकर, सो आई वुड ऑलवेज पिक अप चिप्स एंड कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स एंड स्टफ एंड जस्ट एंजॉय देम. तो मैं गया एक बार सुपरमार्केट हमारी गली के पीछे जो है, बाय एंड बाय. मैं वहाँ गया, मैंने बोला यार चलो चिप्स लेते हैं. मैं चिप्स ले रहा था, कोल्ड ड्रिंक उठाए, वो चोर 8-9 चोर अंदर घुसे, पूरी स्टोर को लूट लिया और मेरा फोन भी चला गया. चिप्स और बोतल मेरे हाथ में रह गई. मैंने बोला ये भी लेके जाते हैं.
आपसे I'm not sure if you remember पाक स्टडीज, इस्लामियात, मैथ, I think मुझे ये याद है, ये पढ़ा था और सब में ये आया था.
मेरा खुद का भी ये आया था. तो चलो we both managed to.
आपका ए स्टार होगा, आपने मुझे अच्छा नहीं पढ़ाया और आप मेरा ये आया.
कोई बात नहीं, ए हो या ए स्टार हो, बात एक ही है. आज कोई फर्क पड़ रहा है?
So what advice would you give to first time homebuyers?
When you're ready, you're ready.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Khanani Connection. Today we have someone very special to me on the podcast. He's not just family but has been a mentor to me throughout my educational journey and professional career. Today we have Mr. Zubair Khanani with us. क्या हाल है ज़ुबैर?
ठीक ठाक, कैसे हैं आप?
बिल्कुल ठीक, जो आपने लिख के दिया था बिल्कुल वैसे ही बोले हैं.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it. What an introduction.
Alright. How's life? कैसे?
Alhamdulillah, life is good.
ठीक है.
Can't complain.
Summer आ रहा है कनाडा में. How do you feel about it?
Alhamdulillah, we've had a very rough winter for.
It was snowing yesterday or day before as well.
Exactly. We went from -8 to +17.
Yeah.
So I'm not a weather person, but when I see this thing happening, I'm like, यार हम कहाँ आ गए?
Absolutely. कभी-कभी सोचते हैं. But चलो, we'll start off with your early life. Where were you born? कौन से हॉस्पिटल में पैदा हुए? Just kidding. But पाकिस्तान, कराची की journey, because you were born in Karachi, तो कराची की journey from school to college. और फिर we'll explore your Karachi life first, और फिर हम देखेंगे आपने कनाडा वाली लाइफ में क्या तीर मारा है अभी तक.
तीर अभी मारे नहीं है.
हाँ, नहीं मुझे लगता है मारे,
इंशाल्लाह मारेंगे.
इंशाल्लाह for sure. So Karachi में like what school did you go to?
तो कराची में I went to Bayview High. I mean, prior to that, way back then was a school called Zaheen Academy. I don't even know if that exists anymore, but उसके बाद Bayview High में गया, starting from class 5 all the way till A levels.
Okay.
So I stayed there throughout the whole educational journey of junior school, middle school, high school.
तो कैसा था Bayview में experience overall?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, very good. I think the benefit that we had was all 4 brothers of ours went through the same school. So it became more so कि यार हम जाते थे तो everybody knew who we were, and because the school was pretty big, it just made it a lot more fun. There were all different kinds of people with various different backgrounds, various different languages, which Karachi is known for, and it was just fun. I think I had a lot of fun.
कभी ऐसा हुआ है कि आपकी लड़ाई हुई हो और आपने बोला भाई मेरे 3 भाई हैं जो आ जाएंगे, बच के रहो मुझसे?
यार हिम्मत नहीं हुई किसी की.
नहीं, लेकिन ऐसा कभी भी नहीं हुआ एक सिचुएशन?
जरूरत भी नहीं पड़ती, लेकिन हुआ भी नहीं. अच्छा, ओके. भाइयों की भी जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ऐसी कैपेबिलिटी है. ठीक है,
ओके, चलो, अमेजिंग. तो आप बेबी में थे थ्रू आउट फ्रॉम प्री नर्सरी टू ए लेवल्स, ठीक है?
करेक्ट.
तो मतलब ओवर टाइम आपने बेबी में कैसा एक्सपीरियंस था कि मतलब आपने आपके दोस्त एंड ऑल, हाउ वाज दैट एक्सपीरियंस लाइक द फ्रेंड्स ओवर देयर?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वाज गुड. I've been funny enough, मेरी जो एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड है वो थोड़ा सा वेवी था, because when I started it was very low in terms of my grades.
एक मिनट, आपका लो ए तो नहीं है?
नहीं यार, ए स्टार नहीं आ रहा, वो सीडी वाला है. मैं मतलब वो जो होता है ना कि वार्निंग्स वाले बच्चे जो होते हैं जिनको वार्निंग्स मिली थी फ्रॉम ऑन बिहेवियर, ऑन एजुकेशन, तो उस कैटेगरी में था मैं. फिर इवेंचुअली आई थिंक around grade 7, I think 8 or 9 is when I started taking it seriously because हुआ ये था कि बेव्यू में sections बने होते थे classes के. तो उन sections में से for the longest time I was in a section that was just very rowdy. Then funny enough, in class 9 or 10, I think, my section was changed to a point where nobody rowdy was in my section. It was all studious people.
Okay.
So you था ना कि when you're surrounded by people that are always doing a certain way, अब जैसे सिगरेट पीने वाले लोगों के साथ आप बैठे रहोगे तो eventually आप सिगरेट पी ही लोगे.
Eventually, हाँ.
So I think it works the opposite with good qualities and good habits as well. So funny enough, I was just surrounded by people that were always studying. It just automatically triggered the fact that
this is interesting because पिछले podcast में ये किसी और ने भी बात की थी that the impact your friends have on you, right?
100%.
कि मतलब अगर आपके दोस्त भाई सिगरेट पी रहा है तो आप सिगरेट eventually शायद पीना शुरू कर दो या अगर वो कुछ और गलत कर रहा है तो मतलब overall मतलब आपको अच्छे दोस्त आप कह रहे हो कि आगे जाके मिले not in your primary school. अच्छे दोस्त ऐसे आदतें
ऐसे नहीं है कि मैंने अपने दोस्तों को छोड़ दिया हाँ बट मुझे ये रियलाइज हो गया what's important and what's not important in life. And then obviously having older brothers that were also studious, also leading by example वाली जो बात आ जाती है तो वो भी एक होता है कि यार घर में बात यही होती है कि you know use them as an example, use them as inspiration, and I think that worked in my favor as well. तो
जब ये इंस्पिरेशन वाली बात आती है ठीक है लेकिन अब जब बड़े भाई बहन if they're doing well in school तो वो एक did you ever feel that pressure कि यार मुझे भी करना है क्योंकि वो कभी-कभी नहीं कजन से भी प्रेशर आ जाता है कभी-कभी and we'll get into it after but कि भाई से प्रेशर आ जाता है कि यार वो अच्छा कर रहा है तो मेरे पास अब्बू की तरफ से बहुत प्रेशर है I have to do well.
Obviously, but that pressure is good pressure.
Okay.
As long as you don't take it too far. Like आपको एक लिमिट अपनी खुद की कैपेसिटी का भी होना चाहिए कि यार अगर मैं 88 ला रहा हूँ और मैं बार-बार कंपेयर कर रहा हूँ कि मेरे 89 क्यों नहीं आए क्योंकि उसके 89 आए. That's just stupid.
But you know like there are instances जब सही as a student आपको समझ आ रही होती है but शायद आपके पेरेंट्स को समझ नहीं आ रही होती राइट कि मतलब your parents expect you कि भाई आप भी उसकी तरह ही अच्छा करोगे.
यार जब आपके 4 भाई होते हैं ना
हाँ
और आप दूसरे तीसरे पे होते हो तो आपको उतनी मार नहीं पड़ रही होती जितने चौथे को पड़ रही होती. तो बेनिफिट वो मुझे मिला कि मैं आखिर में नहीं था पढ़ाई में तो मुझे इतना ज्यादा नहीं बोला गया.
ठीक है
मुझे बस बोला गया तुम फिर भी बेहतर हो. तो इट्स ओके.
चलो गुड.
तो दैट्स व्हाई आई ऑलवेज एनकरेज पीपल इवन टुडे हैव मोर किड्स सो दैट दे डोंट हैव टू गो थ्रू दैट एक्सरसाइज. और जो आखिरी में हो ना उसका ज्यादा ध्यान रखो.
अच्छा
एज पेरेंट्स.
एंड वर यू द कूल गाय इन स्कूल? वो जैसे मैं आई टेल यू माय एक्सपीरियंस कि यार कुछ स्कूल में कुछ लोग होते ना कि यार मतलब यार ये कूल आदमी है यार ये है. अब जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आई रिमेंबर कि हमारे स्कूल में एक बंदे के पास कोई गिटार बजाता था तो वो सबसे कूल था. इसके पास DSLR था वो सबसे उस जमाने में कूल था. सो आई अज्यूम आप गिटार और DSLR वाले तो नहीं हो बट आप वर यू द कूल वन इन स्कूल?
I was doing well to a point where I wasn't someone that was not with friends.
Okay.
Like I was able to have a conversation with anybody. And I was not someone that wasn't invited to places. So if that categorizes you from cool to uncool, I don't see it that way. I just feel like everybody has their own crowd. And everybody has their own personality. There are people that I would not want to hang out with to begin with. So it's not that I'm uncool for them or you know they're uncool for me. So I don't think I would classify it that way. But I don't play the guitar. I don't play any musical instrument to be very honest. I did not have a DSLR because it was too expensive, and I don't think I could even afford it at the time for myself. But that it allowed you to be someone that could add value and add a service to people. But I don't think I needed that.
सही. एंड अभी मेरा एक और दोस्त आया था पिछले पॉडकास्ट में वो कह रहा था कि it was very difficult for him to fit in Bayview. He was in Bayview Academy. I assume it's different from Bayview High, but थोड़ा तो शायद माहौल सिमिलर होगा. सो डिड यू एक्सपीरियंस एनीथिंग इन दैट वे कि यार मुश्किल हो रही है लोग इस तरह के हैं एलीट लोग बहुत ज़्यादा हैं या बैलेंस था अच्छा बेबी अकेडमी
नहीं
सॉरी
look there's always going to be elite class. आप कराची में आज जाते हो आप कहीं पे खाने पे भी जाते हो तो you have someone coming in an alto and you have someone coming in a bike and you have someone coming in a Land Cruiser.
But sorry you know there are some schools जिसमें बहुत बैलेंस होता है. ठीक है. Similarly the school that I went to उसमें बहुत अच्छा बैलेंस था but बेव्यू में वो जो वो बता रहा था कि उसकी स्कूल में बैलेंस नहीं था.
I personally did not have experience with Bayview Academy, but Bayview High, to a point, it was fairly balanced. I know someone that would come in a rickshaw to the school. Although he obviously initially आप आंखें छुपा छुपा के अंदर आते हो या भाग भाग के अंदर आ जाते हो ताकि कोई देखे नहीं कि यार मैं रिक्शे में आ रहा हूँ. Because
तो फिर इसको तो बैलेंस नहीं कहेंगे ना शायद, अगर उसको मुश्किल हो रही है.
It's about how you make them feel, right?
हाँ.
आप अगर आप मैं सुबह सुबह खड़े होकर उसको मैं बोलूँ कि यार तू रिक्शे में क्यों आ रहा है, तू ये क्या कर रहा है, तो obviously you're just bullying someone out of a situation that he's in and he can't control.
शायद होता होगा ना, तभी वो शायद उसने फील करा.
I mean मैंने नहीं किया, but मुझे पता है अगर आप उनसे पूछेंगे तो शायद they may have faced it as well.
And अभी obviously आप बेबी में probably 10 साल around पहले थे, A-level शायद कर रहे हो 10 साल पहले.
Right.
And would you still hang out with the same people that you used to back then? या बोले कि नहीं यार अभी मुझे उनके साथ because they're not good people in terms of their habits, और अब मैं उनके साथ नहीं करूँगा.
यार I feel like I'm well beyond that point where habits are really going to influence my decision. Because अब आप एक एज पे आ जाते हो कि आप बोलते हो यार जो चीज़ मुझे नहीं करनी, अब तुम मुझे कुछ भी करवा लो, मैं नहीं करूँगा.
सही.
तो you know habits are something that you know as long as your home setting is good और घर के माहौल अच्छे हैं तो फिर आप उन चीज़ों से इन्फ्लुएंस होते भी नहीं है. तो मैं दोस्ती उस नियत से नहीं करता, मैं दोस्ती करता हूँ कि यार मुझे आपके साथ बैठ के मज़ा आ रहा है तो हम मिलेंगे. आपके साथ बैठ के मुझे नहीं मज़ा आ रहा, आप नेगेटिव इंसान हो, आपके पास कुछ अच्छी बातें करने को ही नहीं है और आप मोहल्ले की भुप्पो बनी फिर रहे हो तो फिर वो मत करो, फिर मुझे वैसे भी बैठने में मज़ा नहीं आएगा. सो दैट्स जस्ट हाउ आई एम.
अच्छा, और आप आई थिंक हम ऑफ कैमरा बात कर रहे थे, आप हेड बॉय भी थे A-levels में, O-levels में, तो वो कैसे बने? अच्छा, और उस वक्त हेड बॉय, आई एम नॉट श्योर अभी भी शायद होता हो कि हेड बॉय एक
स्टूडेंट प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ द
स्टूडेंट प्रेसिडेंट, तो आप किस तरह बने? और वो एक ऑब्वियसली बहुत अच्छी पोजीशन, प्रेस्टिजियस पोजीशन होती है फॉर एनीवन इन द स्कूल, राइट? कि यार ये हेड बॉय है, इसकी बात सुननी पड़ेगी.
यार इन हाइंडसाइट आई लुक बैक, अब जैसे जिस पोजीशन पे where I am now, did it matter? No. But
back then
obviously it was very valuable, right? Like that's all you want.
किस तरह बने आप? Was there a voting process?
There was a voting process. There was a selection process.
जिस तरह पाकिस्तान में इलेक्शन होते हैं उस तरह सेलेक्ट हुए आप या एक्चुअल?
नहीं पाकिस्तान टाइप इलेक्शन नहीं थे. अगर वो होते तो उसकी जरूरत भी नहीं पड़ती, मैं वैसे ही जीत जाता. बट प्रॉपर इलेक्शन हुए, प्रॉपर कैंपेनिंग की थी एक टाइम पे. एंड फनी इनफ आई वाज रनिंग अलोंगसाइड माय ओन फ्रेंड. तो you know it was just a battle of insulting each other every other day and saying यार तू, कभी-कभी तो मैं बोल भी देता था उसको जानबूझ के. I don't know if it sounded like bullying or not, but I was like कर क्यों रहा है?
सही है.
फायदा क्या मिल रहा है?
तो आपका मेन फोकस क्या था कि मैं क्या, आप स्पीचेस में आप क्या बोलते थे कि यार आई एम बेटर देन हिम बिकॉज ऑफ दिस?
It was more so along the lines of being approachable. कि यार आपको कोई मसला होगा या आपको कोई टेंशन होगी, who do you want to be represented by? Is there a voice that is more powerful than I am? Is there someone who has a reach better than I am? Is the conversation I would have. And I think it was something that helped me win as well. That, okay, I have a good banter with people of my own classes. I have a good banter with my own friends, everybody else. And I'm not someone that will bully you if you were to approach me. So I think that really played a big role as well.
But did anyone ever come to you कि यार Zubair ये मसला हो गया है, प्लीज कुछ करो यार?
यार आते थे
स्कूल से निकाल रहे हैं मुझे, कुछ करो.
ऐसे भी situations हुए हैं where I could just go inside an office and talk to the admin and be like, okay, no, this is incorrect.
आपके सुनते थे?
हाँ
आपके सुनते थे वो?
रिस्पेक्ट करते थे. सुनते भले ना हो, लेकिन रिस्पेक्ट इतनी होती थी कि they would put weight on the word. अब मैं ये बोलूँ कि खड़े हो जाओ, वो खड़े हो जाए, ऐसा नहीं होता. बट अगर मैं बोलूँ कि इस बंदे ने इस तरह किया, सिचुएशन ये थी.
कोई बहुत ही फनी इंसिडेंट याद है?
यार ऐसे तो बहुत है. एक
कोई सबसे फनी?
There was an incident where somebody was getting bullied by a lot.
ये तो फनी नहीं हुआ, ये तो
सीरियस. तो वो सीरियस, but the way he was being bullied was just funny when I look back now. Where
ये बता सकते, कुछ बताना?
नहीं, I don't think I want to share that. But there's been a lot. Like स्कूल में होता है यार, स्कूल में funny situations तो होती रहती हैं. कभी-कभी किसी टीचर को कोई बुली कर रहा होता है, where a teacher is not as vocal and unable to speak well.
टीचर आपके पास आते थे?
नहीं, टीचर आते नहीं थे, लेकिन मुझे जब दिख रहा था तो मैं रुकवा देता था.
Okay.
Where I'd be like, यार या मैं बात घुमा दूं, या मैं आके खुद ही बता दूं कि यार there's something going on over there, let's go over there. So I think that also plays a big role in diffusing a situation as opposed to escalating a situation. I think that's part of the process as well.
Interesting. अच्छा, not a lot of people know, but आपने O-levels में teaching भी की थी और मैं आपका first student था. तो आपने एक तो क्यों start की? मुझे अपना student क्यों लिया? Like क्या thought process था आपका? क्यों किया आपने?
यार thought process ये था that it was more so income. First of all, because A-levels में, O-levels में आके आपके खर्चे भी बढ़ते रहते हैं. And when you're studying in Bayview, you're being invited to places, you're going out. There's expenses you have to fulfill. Pocket money is only going to get you so far. So I think that's why I picked it up. And then at one point when I started, it was just fun because I feel like I was already teaching some of my own friends for exams because they were slightly weaker in studies. Some of them were very good, some of them were weak. So I would sit down and study with them as well. And they found benefit in that. So I'm like, yaar, main agar ye kar hi raha hu, to main might as well make some income out of it. And then eventually you pulled up and you're like, yeah, tuition padni hai mujhe, tuition mein.
I did not. My dad did.
Oh yeah, your dad did. Your dad did.
मतलब imagine कि मुझे तो कजन से पढ़ने में तो हमेशा
तो शुरू में awkward था. शुरू में तो awkward था कि कभी-कभी मैं उमर को डांट भी रहा होता था. मैं बोलता था यार मुझे भी अजीब लग रहा है.
Umar is my younger brother, by the way.
Yeah, so Umar and Jawad used to study with me, and then I think there was 2 other people that we got on board. जिनको लगता था मैं इन दोनों को हमेशा फेवर करता हूँ, लेकिन I think I treated everybody equally, especially when the class started.
I'm not sure if I ever told this to you, but you were a very good teacher because अबे हमारे grades अच्छे आते थे. आप थोड़ा अच्छा feel हो रहा है ना आपको?
इसीलिए तो मेरा marketing भी अच्छी हो गई थी ना, because you guys started telling people यार मैं tuition अपने cousins से पढ़ता हूँ.
और अच्छे grades was the main marketing, right? कि मतलब यार अच्छे grades आ रहे हैं मतलब अच्छी जगह जा रहे हैं.
Correct.
But you didn't take more students.
I was like no, I had it capped at 4 people because I was like यार मैं business नहीं खोल रहा, मैं खुद भी A levels कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ, correct.
Because I was in my first year of A levels and I was teaching you for first year O levels. I think grade 9.
Grade 9, yeah.
So I think at one point people would knock on my door as well. घंटी बजा रहे थे कि यार ट्यूशन पढ़ाते. मैंने सुना मतलब मैं नहीं पढ़ा रहा हूँ, आप जाए उससे, मतलब मेरे बच्चे को भी ले ले. मैं बोला नहीं यार मेरे पास जगह नहीं है. तो I think that happened quite a bit as well because they would see people going in and out of the house in the evenings. तो वो एक fun experience भी था और beneficial भी था कि यार मुझे भी refreshing हो जाता था क्योंकि O levels की पढ़ाई मैं भी देख रहा था जो मुझे काम आ रही थी मेरे खुद के एग्जाम्स के लिए. So I think it just built my foundation a lot stronger and helped you guys along the way as well.
But मैंने जब आपसे, I'm not sure if you remember, Pak Studies, Islamiyat, math, I think मुझे ये याद है, ये पढ़ा था और सब में ये आया था.
सब में आया था. मेरा खुद का भी ये आया था. तो चलो we both managed to.
आपका A star आया होगा, आपने मुझे अच्छा नहीं पढ़ाया और आप मेरा ये आया इसलिए.
कोई बात नहीं, A हो या A star हो, बात एक ही है. आज कोई फर्क पड़ रहा है?
नहीं, शायद उस वक्त शायद पढ़ा हो कि यार स्टार नहीं आया, बट अब तो लाइक डाउन द रोड हम सोचते हैं नहीं.
मुझे रिजल्ट मेरे याद भी नहीं है, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट.
नहीं मुझे तो याद है. मेरे
या खुद के
अपने आपके नहीं पता, बट मुझे याद है कि आपके मुझसे ए ज्यादा ही थे.
अच्छा, मुझे
नहीं, माय डैड यूज्ड टू से देखो जुबैर कितने आए, मेरे नहीं आए थे. तो कंपटीशन तो हमेशा था ना
यार.
एज यू सेड इंस्पिरेशन
था ना. तो बट इन हाइंडसाइट अगर आप देखो कि मेरे अगर 11 एज आए और आपके अगर 10 भी आ गए,
doesn't matter
it's
now.
It's a win in my opinion. And then like but I get it from parents' perspective, right? Like alhamdulillah I'm a parent now, so I see why parents really want to push for improvement constantly because they realize कि यार 99 आ गए, मैं अगर इसकी ज्यादा तारीफ कर दूंगा तो शायद अब ये अगली बार 79 पे भी मेरे पास आके बोलेगा अच्छा करा था मैंने. तो I want to make sure I keep pushing. I think that's how parents really feel.
Grades are important because आपके यूनिवर्सिटी में एडमिशंस तो ग्रेड से ही होते हैं. I'm not sure if this is the right system or not, but system तो यही है कि ग्रेड्स अच्छे होंगे तो आपका एडमिशन अच्छी जगह होगा. यूनिवर्सिटी में if you get good grades you अच्छी first job मिलेगी. इसके बाद I don't know if it matters, but you know getting into the university and getting your first job, I think grades do matter.
To a point, right? But like there's so many other things you could do other than grades that could also help you along the way.
Absolutely, but the way, for example, getting your first job, the way these companies work, आपका भी experience होगा शायद. For example, if you do not have that certain GPA,
right,
they won't select you at all.
Yes, but that's all you should aim for. You don't need to have a 99 average.
Right?
So I'm just saying, someone with a 99 average with no life versus a 79 average with a life, I would prefer them over anybody any day.
I mean, you would not, but would recruiters do?
I was a recruiter at these companies at one point as well. And I know that the conversations along the way were the same because someone with a 99 average may be very smart, but has their personality traits are not good enough to a point where they're not willing to work in teams because they feel they're always superior.
Yeah.
They've always felt that way in every classroom. So you don't want that level of mentality into your room while you're working as well because that's bad energy where they're not going to respect other ideas. They feel like they will have better ideas than anybody else. You don't want that level of people inside your company as well. And I've seen people get rejected with those averages. So it's not just the average that will get you the job. It's your personality, your upkeep, your well-being. Everything matters.
चलो perfect. अच्छा, before we move into your Canadian life, थोड़ा और कराची को डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. हाँ. कराची आपको जनरली कैसा लगता है कि मतलब obviously born and brought up in Karachi, moved to Canada after university, but आपने obviously जो 18-19 साल कराची में ही गुजारे हैं,
Right.
तो कैसा experience था? और obviously वो those years from 90s and 2000s, right? कराची के लिए तो मुश्किल साल थे in terms of, you know, हालात and all. तो आपका overall कैसा experience था?
यार मेरा इतना बुरा नहीं था जितना लोग इतना बना बना के जो मीडिया में बताते हैं, बट आई फील लाइक आई हैड अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अ वेरी गुड टाइम व्हाटएवर नंबर ऑफ इयर्स आई वाज देयर इन कराची. मुझे तो बड़ा मजा आया. मैंने हर चीज़ खाई है. मैं पीछे तुम्हें रेडी वाले के पास फ्राइज खाते हुए देखूंगा, मकई खाते हुए, तो मैं हर चीज़ खाता था.
साथ ही खाई हमने.
हाँ, बहुत बार तो साथ भी खाई है. और मुझे बार बार बोला भी जाता था घर पे कि यार तुम क्या खा रहे हो, ये किस कचरों में पड़ रहे हो.
मजा ही कुछ और था.
पर उसका मजा ही कुछ और है यार. वो जो गंदे पानी में धो रहा है आपको. बट आई फील लाइक उसी वजह से मेरा इम्यून सिस्टम इतना अच्छा हो गया कि मैं अब कहीं पे भी ट्रैवल करता हूँ, कहीं का भी कुछ खा लेता हूँ, मुझे इतना ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट नहीं करता. बट मुझे वो मजा मिला. और फिर जो चोरियों के बारे में, आई थिंक मेरा फोन भी चोरी हुए हैं कई बार.
अच्छा, हाँ, कराची की बात तो हम ये बात ना करें. अगर आपका फोन चोरी हुआ तो आपका फोन चोरी हुआ है
3 बार.
सबसे कोई फनी स्टोरी या सबसे कोई स्कैरी स्टोरी?
सबसे फनी स्टोरी थी, मैं स्टोर गया था ऐसे रैंडमली, मेरा मूड हुआ था फॉर सम रीजन, पता नहीं क्यों. मैंने बोला यार, बिकॉज आई वाज अ वेरी बिग स्नैकर, तो आई वुड ऑलवेज पिक अप चिप्स एंड कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स एंड स्टफ एंड जस्ट एंजॉय देम. तो मैं गया एक बार सुपरमार्केट हमारी गली के पीछे जो है बाय एंड बाय. मैं वहां गया, मैंने बोला यार चलो चिप्स लेते हैं. मैं चिप्स ले रहा था, कोल्ड ड्रिंक उठाए, वो चोर 8-9 चोर अंदर घुसे, पूरी स्टोर को लूट लिया. और मेरा फोन भी चला गया. चिप्स और बोतल मेरे हाथ में रह गई. मैंने बोला ये भी लेके जाते हैं. बट बड़े महंगे चिप्स खाए मैंने उस दिन.
और फोन उस वक्त महंगे होते थे और आपकी खुद
उस टाइम पे मेरा वो वाला था, कौन से, द वन दैट वुड ओपन अप एंड यार यार कीबोर्ड, पूरा कीबोर्ड होता था.
ओह अच्छा.
तो आई हैड वन ऑफ दोस फैंसी वंस एंड आई थिंक.
अच्छा, जब फोन चला गया तो उसके बाद फिर क्या थॉट आई?
फिर मुझे थॉट आई कि ये दुनिया टेम्परेरी है. तो बस आप यू नो जितनी भी फैंसी चीज ले लो, जितना भी कुछ कर लो, यू नो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इफ यू आर नॉट, आप हमेशा इंटेंशन राइट रखो, दुआएं मांगो, सब घर से निकलो, सफर की दुआ पढ़ो. शायद उस दिन मैंने नहीं पढ़ी,
बगैर पता चले गए थे चिप्स लेने.
यही मसला है मेरा, बगैर पता बहुत बार निकल जाता था. तो उस दिन सबक मिल गया मुझे.
कोई दूसरी स्टोरी याद है?
एक बार हुआ था, सिग्नल पे रोका था. आई वाज जस्ट स्टैंडिंग लाइट पे, बस मैं और मेरा ड्राइवर बैठे हुए थे, गाड़ी में थे. और रेड लाइट पे खड़े हैं. हमारी सबसे बड़ी गलती थी कि हम रेड लाइट को फॉलो कर रहे थे. तो बाइक वाला भी नहीं आया, इनफैक्ट पैदल चलता हुआ आया, क्योंकि उसने बाइक दूसरी ऑपोजिट साइड ऑफ द ट्रैफिक पार्क की हुई थी भागने के लिए. सो नॉक किया बंदूक के साथ, बोला ये लो भाई. तो वॉलेट मांगा. लकीली आई वाज इन शॉर्ट्स बिकॉज़ आई वाज गोइंग फॉर फुटबॉल मैच.
ओके.
तो जेब में कुछ और था नहीं, फोन था, फोन ले गया. बोला यार अब क्या जिंदगी है.
बट अभी आपको ये चीजें बॉदर करती हैं बिकॉज़ अभी आप कराची जाते हो घूमने, लाइक फॉर वेकेशन, राइट? तो आपको हमेशा ध्यान रखना पड़ता है कि आप गाड़ी चला रहे हो, कोई बाइक ना आ जाए. तो सो डू दीस थिंग्स बॉदर यू कि यार ये क्यों हो रहा है?
नॉट रियली. आई थिंक इट गिव्स मी दैट सिक्स्थ सेंस अवेयरनेस whenever I am going, even over here. Like मैं walk कर रहा होता हूँ, मुझे दिख रहा, मैं साइड में देख रहा होता हूँ. I look now if there's anybody following me on your rear view. It just makes your awareness a lot better, and I think that's important. Obviously मैं नहीं बोलता जाके अपनी चीजें चोरी करवाना जानबूझ के करो ताकि सीखने को मिले, but in situations like those, how to handle them, and when you're under pressure, you have a gun onto your head. Like, how do you react?
Yeah, because they're scared as well, right? जो आपके
they're all scared, and any slight movement, any sudden movements, they'll just
do whatever they have to. जो इस तरह काफी हो चुका है और अभी तक हो रहा है.
तो मैं बोलता हूँ ऐसी situation में कभी पड़ो तो obviously cooperate, give it away, whatever you have, don't fight over it, and you know, inshallah, there's going to be better things to come. So don't sweat over it and don't lose your life over stupid.
Because हमें तो घर से instructions होते थे भाई, कुछ भी मांगे, कोई हीरो नहीं. Because कभी-कभी ना आप दिमाग में मैं हीरो बनूंगा, उसकी गन छीन लूंगा.
वो बाद में बनता है दिमाग में, बंदा बोलता है यार ये सिग्नल पे था, मैं इसकी गन छीन लेता, या यार शायद नकली होगी गन. नकली क्या पता, गोलियां ही ना हो उसके पास. ये सब थॉट्स आते हैं और फिर आप सनी देओल बनना शुरू कर जाते हो.
हीरो बनने की जरूरत नहीं है चीजों में.
अल्लाह को फायदा नहीं है उसका.
But would you ever, अगर for example, okay, you're here, your family is here now,
right?
But अगर आपको कभी कोई option मिले, would you consider moving back to Pakistan or Karachi?
No, and I have a good reason why. It's not that it's a bad place. Yeah, it's not that there's no opportunities there. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. People that are doing well are doing really well.
Yes.
People that are not doing well are struggling. So there's two sides of the story, but that's also here.
Everywhere.
The reason why I wouldn't want to move is because I've started something here that I wake up to every day with excitement, and I don't want to let that go. The only thing where I would want to move is because there's opportunities that are far better than what I have over here, but I don't see that happening.
चलो, we'll get to what excites you in the morning.
Yeah.
But चलो फिर Canadian life पे आ जाते हैं कि आपने यहाँ पर थोड़े क्या तीर मारे हैं. I'm sure काफ़ी मारे हैं for sure. तो आपने यूनिवर्सिटी, आप कौन सी यूनिवर्सिटी में गए और क्यों गए?
I went to the University of Waterloo for their accounting and finance program, and the reason why I went there is because of co-op. No, nothing else. It was just strictly based on, okay, there's a co-op program. I honestly did not even know much about it because मेरा खुद का पहली बार था, मेरी family में किसी ने नहीं किया था. But it was a leap of faith because मेरा intention था McGill, U of T, there was multiple options. But Ontario was, a preferred option. तो फिर मैंने University of Waterloo गया. Strictly because of that program that they had, because a co-op program, for reference to the audience, is something where you study for a term and then you work for a term, and you're given opportunities and employers, access to employers to apply for those internship positions.
So did you think that you had that full university experience? Because for example, you're studying for 4 months, then you're finding a job for 4 months. So आप nomad बन जाते हो, आपकी job जाने लगे, आपको वहाँ जाना है. And a lot of the people and my friends that I know, they were struggling not because they were not getting a job, but mentally आप struggle करते हो. And Canadian winters आपको बहुत bother करती है कि यार मैं हर 4 महीने मुझे घर ढूंढना है, मुझे job ढूंढनी है, पढ़ाई भी करनी है. So how was your experience, and would you still recommend people to go to Waterloo because of all of these reasons?
I would recommend anybody go to Waterloo.
Okay.
And the life that I had wasn't as drastically bad as some other experiences you may have seen, but मेरा ये भी था कि यार मैं enjoy भी करता था. मैं अगर काम कर रहा हूँ 7 बजे तक, तो मैं वापस आके डिप्रेशन में अपने बेड में लेटा नहीं रहता था. मैं जाता था, जिम जाता था. I joined sports, I joined leagues. Staying busy is something that I'm pretty good at, and I enjoy that. And secondly, what I also did was I did a term abroad. So I went to Netherlands for 4 months as a study term abroad. I lived there, I studied there, and the benefit of studying there was grades didn't matter. It was just a pass or fail.
Yeah, correct, yes.
You just need a credit for it. So that sparked my eye, because I'm like, yeah, everybody in my program is very hardcore, grades, job, this, that, be a top performer at everything. I was like, yeah, I need a break from that. And how do I get it? This opportunity came up, and I went to literally an hour away from Amsterdam, a small town called Tilburg. So I went to university there. And being in Europe allows you to travel anywhere in Europe with ease. So वो मैंने काफी experience किया और enjoy किया.
Overall बहुत अच्छा experience था आपके Netherlands में. Would you recommend people to do a work study, not a work study, but a work study abroad program?
I would recommend anybody to do anything they want. Like don't stick around into the same status quo. Nobody in my family ever did a term abroad. Nobody I knew personally ever did a term abroad. I just picked it up and I'm like, yeah, who cares? I want to do it because I enjoy traveling.
Okay.
I do sports because I enjoy it. Maybe you're not a sports person. Doesn't mean that it is the only option or it's the only way for you to enjoy your university. Go join committees, do whatever you like, but just don't focus solely around what is needed. Do things you also want.
Got it.
And I think that's important.
तो आपने जो co-ops थे, 4 co-ops थे, right? तो आपने, was it easy for you to find that job, or how was your experience, और कहाँ किया आपने?
It's never easy, but मेरा luckily ये था कि I was very personable. So when you have conversations with recruiters, that's also what they look for. Grades, yeah, they're important, but there's people that in my own program that were a lot better in terms of their grades, and they didn't get the job where I worked. So it's not that it's the only thing that they look for. They also look for personability. So I was able to have that click with people that I met from these recruiting events that happened in universities, and I stayed connected throughout the summer, and it just worked out in my favor. I think, funny enough, I got offers from 2 jobs, 2 of the Big 4 companies for my first co-op term, and I had the choice, like the tables had turned, but I had the choice of where I want to go, and I think I was in a very fortunate position at the time.
So इसमें ये कि मतलब what you said, network is very important, right? You networked with them, और सिर्फ grades नहीं था.
Correct.
Right.
100%.
And network किस तरह करते हैं यहाँ पर? So अच्छा, network पाकिस्तान में बोलते हैं ना कि source पे job मिलती है. ठीक है.
Right.
Source is what? Network. Like you know people or your father knows people,
Yeah.
right? And यहाँ पर when you come, you need to build your own source or
Correct.
network, right? So how
Correct.
important is building a network?
Yeah, it's just as important as if you get it easily, you don't value it as much. So if your father's giving it to you, the chances are you're not going to be the best at what it is you're doing. But if you really worked hard and if you really networked your way into that particular position, you will respect it a lot more and you will enjoy it a lot more. So I think that's the driving factor for anybody out there that says, "Yaar, mujhe khud karna padega." Well, no shit. Everybody has to do everything on their own. Because जितना आप ज़्यादा खुद करोगे उतने ज़्यादा आप अपने आप को रिस्पेक्टेबल तरीके से आप उसको एंजॉय भी कर सकोगे.
Got it.
सो यू वोंट टेक थिंग्स फॉर ग्रांटेड कि यार चलो पापा ने यहाँ लगा दी है तो कोई बात नहीं, यहाँ से कौन सा परफॉर्मेंस का मुझे मैटर करता है, मैं कहीं और भी जाके कहीं और भी
मुझे
पापा लगा
पैसों की
देंगे,
जरूरत भी नहीं है,
पैसों की भी जरूरत नहीं है. लाइक ऑल ऑफ दैट फैक्टर also impacts your performance. And I think people see it as well.
तो आपको ये कॉर्पोरेट लाइफ कैसी लगी यहाँ की, स्पेशली ड्यूरिंग योर co-op experiences? Co-op is technically internship, right? तो मतलब आपको कैसा था एक्सपीरियंस ओवरऑल?
या फर्स्ट co-op में तो वही होता है ना कि आप सूट पहन के हर दिन जा रहे हो, एंजॉय कर रहे हो कि यार
खाना मिल रहा है रात को, कभी
लेट काम कर रहे हो तो खाना भी मिल रहा है, लेट काम कर रहे हो तो टैक्सी की सर्विस भी मिल रही है, ऊबर सर्विस मिल रही है. I traveled during my co-op. They sent me to the US for a client engagement. And I'm like, yeah, they're paying for my flights. वो सबसे cool
चीज होती है कि यार मैं travel करूँगा.
Okay, they're paying for my flights. So wow, they're paying for my hotel. That's great. But as I did it about twice during that term, and I realized in my second visit, I'm like, yeah, ये तो work trip है.
It's not as exciting.
It's not that I'm going with family.
Like work trips are very overrated.
It's very overrated.
Very tiring, very overrated.
100%. But see, what makes it more fun is where you're going, number one. If it's a very dreadful place and you're going in the middle of nowhere, then it's really not going to be fun. But what also makes it fun is the team you're going with. अगर वो टीम में आपको पसंद ही नहीं आ रही, टीम के साथ मजा ही नहीं आ रहा, बॉन्डिंग नहीं हो रही है, तो आप खुद ही बोलते यार मैं कहाँ आ गया हूँ. एक तो जगह भी बेकार है, ऊपर से टीम भी बेकार है. तो आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाई दे रियली फोकस, दीज बिग कंपनीज रियली फोकस ऑन पीपल. कि यार अच्छे लोग लेके आओ ताकि लोगों को काम करने में भी मजा आए. बिकॉज काम में किसको मजा आता है? आपके लोग अगर अच्छे होंगे तो आपको काम में भी मजा आना शुरू हो जाएगा ऑटोमेटिकली.
Achha, since you have that experience, like आप graduate rate, so you had that 16 months of good work experience.
Yeah.
So was it easy for you to secure a full-time job as well right after graduation?
The expectation is if you complete co-op terms at the same firm, they do give you a full-time job.
ठीक है.
So I completed all of my co-op terms at the same company.
ठीक है.
So the full-time offer was there, but funny enough, I did not accept it.
Okay.
Because I decided to move on to a different company. I'm like, मैं 4 बार, 4 months times 4. I had worked about 16 months with them at different times of my years. It's not even continuous. It's basically you're growing, maturing, and seeing different sides of the business. तो फिर मुझे realize हुआ यार यहाँ I don't see myself full time, so I moved away.
And then you moved. कितने साल काम किया फिर आपने उधर?
यार
नई कंपनी में?
तो नई कंपनी में, so I started with Deloitte for 4 co-op terms, then transitioned full time to KPMG.
Okay.
In Toronto.
Okay. And then how long did you work at KPMG for?
KPMG was about, I want to say almost 3 years, a little over 3 years,
okay,
around that. And then I transitioned into entrepreneurship and joined a family business in real estate.
Acha, okay. So इस पे आते हैं, but I assume कि you had those designations as well कि आपने so आपने इतना क्या पढ़ा for the audience और इतना क्यों पढ़ा आपने और हम पे इतना प्रेशर क्यों डाला आपने?
तो मैंने, my educational background is the Waterloo bachelor's degree that I had. फिर bachelor's degree के बाद मैंने master's in accounting किया, also from Waterloo. And then I got my CPA license. Then I got my CBV license.
Guys, देख लो मेरी क्या हालत हुई होगी younger
तो
cousin.
CBV license, CPA तो वो इस chartered accountancy का license है, और CBV is the valuations designation, which was...
What is CBV? हाँ.
CBV is basically what I needed for the role that I had at KPMG. Because मैंने audit and advisory से transition करके business valuations में गया था, where the role is basically you look at a private company and you try to utilize various different ways of valuing that particular business.
And आपने KPMG जो आपके last work experience था, आपने did you enjoy that पूरे 3 साल, या the reason you switched to entrepreneurship because you're like बस हो गई, किसी और के लिए मुझे काम नहीं करना, and now I'm switching to entrepreneurship?
जब मैंने enjoy तो किया 100% hands down. The team was great. I enjoyed my experience. But what really sparked me to move and switch away was during COVID, I used to ask myself this question, and I think it's super important for everybody to ask this question to themselves, is wherever you are, in whatever role you are, fast forward yourself 5 to 10 years and look at anybody in your company that is 5 to 10 years ahead, maybe even 15 years ahead. And just picture yourself in that position or in that seat. And then the first question you should ask yourself is, do you want that life? Number one, you're seeing them every single day. Do you want, do you inspire their life? And number two, do you enjoy it enough to be able to wait that long to get it? The answer for both of them to me was no, which is why I just shifted away.
Okay. And where did you shift to? What did you do right after KPMG?
So right after KPMG, prior to KPMG, like while I was at KPMG, I was working part-time with my brother. Part-time in the sense I was helping him out. And my brother started a company in real estate construction, residential. So obviously I'm not a construction expert, but I am a business expert. I am a finance expert. And I think the most important piece in any business is their finance department, because without numbers, your business is worthless. So I think that's the avenue I started bringing into my brother, by helping him around, helping him price projects, helping him understand costing, helping him manage that side of the business. And I think that really helped him succeed to a point where he just said, bro, why are you wasting your time there? Imagine the things we can do together. Because you're this person, you have these assets and you have these qualities, and I can complement those qualities with what I do. And we can make a successful venture out of this. And that's what sparked me to ask those questions that I mentioned initially. And I'm like, yeah, do I inspire, obviously it's an older brother, you look up to them. So do I inspire to be like him? Do I inspire, is he a good person? Do I want to, join this venture and make something work, because it's family at the end of the day. I think that's what really sparked me to transition into this field.
And tell us about the construction company. Like, what do you guys do?
So we specialize in low-rise construction. तो यहाँ पे Canada में लोग जब घर बनाते हैं, तो there's 3 or 4 different kinds of low-rise homes. It could be a townhouse, it could be a semi-detached, it could be a detached. So we basically acquire parcels of lands and build multiple housings on it and sell them to end users. So people that are looking to buy, they end up buying it because they like the product. And we try our best to make it unique.
Okay. और सबसे अच्छी बात क्या है घर बनाने की, and like what's the most interesting part about
the fulfillness of the result?
Okay.
Where you actually, when you're done building the home and a homeowner walks in for the very first time, and I help them walk through the fact that यार जो आपने पेपर पे फ्लोर प्लान देखा था, जो आपने पेपर पे अपनी सिलेक्शंस की थी, छोटे छोटे पीसेस पकड़ के, काउंटर टॉप के, कैबिनेट्स के, आपने अपना इन्विजन जो मैंने आपको करवाया था, वो अब लाइट आपको दिख रही है, and the excitement and the joyness on their faces for being so patient and really be taken by surprise at what they're seeing in a good way. I think that's what fulfills me.
And do you build homes from scratch? Yeah, do you renovate homes as well? Existing homes?
We started from renovations, but
because मेरे घर का washroom थोड़ा खराब हो गया.
यार इसलिए तो मैं नहीं करता ना, वरना मुझे ऐसे फोन आते हैं कि यार मेरा बाथरूम खराब हो गया है, मेरा टॉयलेट पे फ्लश नहीं कर रहा, फिर मैं बोलता हूँ यार खाते क्यों इतना कि ऐसे हरकतें हो जाए. But that's why I wanted to drift away from the renovation side. वरना तो मुझे मेरा फोन बंद ही नहीं होगा, हर दोस्त बोलेगा यार मेरा फ्लोर पे पानी आ गया है.
हाँ, तो ये कर दो वो कर दो. So it's from scratch.
So it's always from scratch.
ठीक है.
जब आप ये नया लेने जाओगे तो मैं आपको वो पूरा का पूरा बना के दूंगा.
ठीक. At the same time, like I've seen कि आपने अपना realtor का भी license लिया.
Yes.
And you're helping people buy and sell homes as well.
मैंने बहुत पढ़ा है यार.
ठीक है. तो आपने like आपने construction company तब चला रहे हो, but आपने realtor का license फिर क्यों लिया? Like what was the thought?
Because there was a gap. I realized gap in information. Okay. Number one. अभी तो चलो इतनी सारी apps आ गई हैं, House Sigma, Zolo. You have all these apps where you don't need a license to be able to get information on comps and stuff like that. It's at the click of a button. But when I started, these apps were very new. So they were still prototyping, and there wasn't really full information that I was looking for. So I would reach out to realtors for that information. And that lag in time period on when I need the information and when I was getting it delivered, that's what really drifted me away towards saying, yeah, I don't want to rely on people for information. It needs to be at my fingertips because it's only going to benefit me for the business that I'm in. That was the first part of it, why I got it. And the second part was being able to sell, market, and converse with other realtors because they thought that they knew more. from a selling side and from paperwork side and from being able to convince someone. And I'm like, it's not rocket science. If I have been through what I have been through, there's nothing I cannot do. And that mentality allowed me to be like, I'll just take this head on and finish it up in a matter of a few weeks.
And tell us about your first deal. Yeah, wo buying thi ya selling thi, I don't know, but how did you land that client and kitni mehnat lagi, kitne ghar dekhne pade ya dikhane pade unhe before helping them buy or sell their home?
Yeah, there's various different ones.
Like the first one that I'm talking about. Because I think the first one
was my own. Like usually it's always your own because you want to be in a position where जब आप किसी के पास जब जैसे मैं आपके पास आता हूँ और मैं आपको बोलता हूँ यार ये because Canadian prices are also very high.
Yeah.
So for me to convince you to buy $1 million home, I need to have some skin in the game to be experienced enough where if the first question you ask me is, have you ever bought before? And I say no, it just looks bad on me because I don't trust the same vehicle of investments that I'm recommending people to do. So that's why you always have to get your skin in the game and foot in the game first. पहले तो पूरी focus करो कि खुद पहले एक transaction करो अपने लिए. उसी में आप इतना सीख जाओगे कि आपको जब दूसरों से बातें करोगे या client से बातें करोगे, दोस्तों से बातें करोगे, it'll be a lot more easier.
On an average, if you're helping someone buy a home, especially buying their first home, right?
Yeah.
तो एक individual या एक family कितने घर देखती है on average based on your experience?
Yeah, it depends on...
Because obviously it's life savings होती हैं, right? If you're buying your first home in Canada, right? तो I'm sure कि लोग एक तो reluctant होते होंगे, hesitant होते होंगे, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा options भी देखने होते होंगे, but at the same time यहाँ पे bidding wars हो रहे होते हैं, तो इतना time ही नहीं होता आपके पास.
ऐसा भी नहीं, मैं like I've dealt with first time home buyers, I've dealt with experienced buyers. The only gap between these two types of buyers is information. That's where I step in and I help them achieve that side of the things. Because जो बंदा 500 घर देखने के बाद भी satisfy नहीं होता ना, तो वो उसकी गलती नहीं है, वो realtor की गलती है कि आपने ये सोच कैसे लिया कि इसको मैं 500 बार घर दिखाऊंगा, आप उसका time waste क्यों कर रहे हो? Like there's time, right? Like people's time is also valuable, and I think that's the biggest asset everybody has. So for you to convince them, let's go see your 500th home, you're stupid. It's not their fault. Because you're unable to find them what they're looking for, or there's a gap between their ability to translate what they're looking for to the realtor.
Acha, like, we have seen, and even my friends, right, they're like, yeah, let's get that realtor license, we'll do it part-time, weekend पे कर लेंगे, अच्छा commission बनता है. तो कितना आसान, चलो license आपने ले लिया, ठीक है, I assume it's not that difficult getting that license.
Yeah.
But helping people buy and sell their homes, is this really a part-time thing?
See, that's where...
Because a lot of people think it's easy money, I'll just get that commission.
There's never easy money, right? Like people, वो होता है ना, grass is always greener.
But that's the assumption. Yeah.
तो वो जो assumption है वो वैसे ही गलत है.
ठीक है.
Speaking from someone from the industry, I think what's really important is say for example, if you're unlicensed and you're looking to buy a house, or if a bigger example would be you're sick and you want to see a doctor, would you go to a part-time doctor? Or would you go to a full-time doctor?
So but in Canada, वैसे doctor मिलना इतना मुश्किल है, जो available होगा चले आऊँगा.
So, but it's a health issue,
absolutely.
Right? If you're in a legal battle, would you go to a part-time lawyer to solve your problem, or would you go to a full-time lawyer?
Yeah, definitely a good full-time lawyer.
So the reason why these things are important, even dentist, would you trust a part-time dentist to go inside your mouth and play around with the tools that they play around with? No. So that's where the value add comes in. So if you're unable to convince someone, or if you're unable to convince yourself that this is the field you want to be in full-time with both feet, I think you're wrong, first of all, to not trust yourself because you're treating it as a part-time gig. And second of all, you won't add the same value to people that are really taking this as a big decision of their life. तो मैं बोलता हूँ जो part-time कर रहे हैं, if it's working for you, great. But I don't think that's the route you need to take because first of all, you're compromising your job because it's not a part-time job.
Yeah,
like if you're looking for a house, you're running comps, you're going out to places. First of all, your 9 to 5 is unavailable.
That's the
for your clients.
अच्छा time तो वही होता है.
You're unavailable at that time, and good deals are made quicker. And when you land that deal, you have to act fast. And if you're unavailable for your clients and you're unavailable to take calls, you can't sell their properties if you're busy 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
Because the real estate में एक buying side है, but there's also a big selling side. You can't sell part time.
Yeah. Chalo, that's amazing. But would you still recommend people to come into this industry, real estate mein? aa jayein ki yaar, it's lucrative. Be an agent, work on it, and you'll succeed.
I would recommend anybody that loves talking to people,
Mm-hmm.
anybody that loves sales, because sales requires thick skin.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it requires thick skin is because rejection is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Failed deals are a big part of it. So for you to be able to persevere through that, and for you to be able to say, chin up, heads up, move on, I think that's super important. So wo agar aapke paas hai wo quality, then I think you will do really well in sales, especially in real estate. But if you feel like there's still a gap in that space and you lack confidence, then I think you should consider something else.
So homes in Canada are so expensive. It's kind of unaffordable for people to buy their first home, right?
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to first-time home buyers?
When you're ready, you're ready. So
when
don't
people
have
say,
FOMO.
Nahin, exactly. Like,
Don't have FOMO. Just because your friends are buying homes,
yeah,
and they're making big decisions in their careers, and they just bought their brand new condo, or they just bought their brand new house, it doesn't mean you're in that position. ये वही बात होगी कि यार वो शादी कर रहा है तो मैं भी शादी कर लूँ.
correct.
जब आप ready नहीं हो, तो आप क्यों करोगे शादी?
And can you time the real estate market at all? Because people say ये अच्छा time अभी खरीद लेना चाहिए, interest rates up and down है, pricing, or the right time is when you're ready.
That's what I would say.
That's the right time.
That's the right time. Whenever you're ready, it's the right time because it's a long-term vehicle. आजकल क्या हो गया ना, लोगों को क्विक मनी बनाने की एक आदत पड़ गई है through stocks, through cryptos. There's various different platforms now where you can make a quick buck.
Yeah.
Real estate is not a make quick buck scheme. And I don't think it ever has been. It's just that some people took advantage of various economic conditions and they were lucrative at one point for a quick buck, but it's not healthy and it's not feasible. So for you to buy something today, have that long-term vision. And once you have that long-term vision, you have the affordability, that's the right time for you. Otherwise, don't do it.
Correct. And, after Donald Trump came in, these tariffs are going to come in soon.
Yeah.
I think they probably came in. So what will be the impact of these tariffs on the housing market? On the already unaffordable Canadian housing market?
So, housing market, unaffordability and all that stuff that people talk about, I know it's unaffordable for a lot of people. You have to join incomes with people. You have to join incomes with your partners. Sometimes your parents are helping out. Family members are helping you
Co-ownerships.
out. Co-ownerships and co-signing. And all of that is very common in the industry. But it's also driven by demand. There's so many renters out there that are, having kids and now are like, okay, I want a bigger spot, bigger place. And the only way to do it is if I move out of this area and afford some home. The impact of tariffs will eventually kick in because the raw materials used, such as lumber, steel, aluminum, all of that becomes more expensive.
I'm sorry, they're already very expensive.
It's already very expensive. Yeah. I know it's come down. There's been a correction to a certain extent, but with tariffs at play, I don't think that's, that correction can be sustainable because eventually every business is a business. Steel manufacturers have bills to pay. Lumber yards have bills to pay. So everybody has to increase their pricing, which eventually gets borne by end consumers, right? So I know governments would not allow that to happen because they will bring in a lot more incentives, which we're already seeing now. HST exemptions ho rahi hain, DCs come ho rahe hain, which are levies that builders have to pay that have gone up and skyrocketed to 400, 500% in some cities in the last 5 years alone. तो वो भी कम कर रहे हैं. So I know there's government intervention already right at the beginning, which shows a positive sign that it's not going to be hellfire coming in. It's just going to be a slow and steady process, and eventually it'll flatten out.
And the fact the elections are right around the corner, and both the probable prime minister candidate, they've promised that they'll cut GST, HST on new homes under $1 million, 1.2 million, right? So what would be the impact on the housing market? Would the prices go down?
They will. I don't see them going down.
Okay.
And the reason why they wouldn't, but I do see them stabilizing.
Okay.
The reason why they wouldn't go down is because it would only impact new builds that are going to eventually come in 2-3 years down the road. But people that already own houses, HST has zero impact to them. Levies and DCs have zero impact to them. So their values will stay as is. It's not that they're going to come down. So I don't see them declining unless there's, another round of COVID and people are running around and trying to flee the country, which is also something that you cannot probably foresee. So I don't see, like, my prediction based on the fact that me being in the industry, I don't see a decline, but I also don't see a crazy rise that we've seen. It's just going to be a stable market, flattened out to a point where people will realize, okay, I can either hold on to it for a better amount of money because I'm going to delay my selling decision. It's not going to help. Or vice versa, I'm going to delay my buying decision because prices are going to come down. They're not going to come down.
चलो perfect Zubair, great real estate insights. एक ऐसा लग रहा है कि real estate 101 मिला है मुझे आज. I'm sure audience को भी मिला होगा. Let's move on. We'll move on to your new venture that you just started.
Yeah.
A paddle court.
Yes.
Right? So why paddle? I know it's a growing sport. अभी recently I was in Pakistan in December. ऐसा लग रहा था कि हर कोई paddle खेल रहा है. रमजान में यूजुअली जो रात को क्रिकेट खेलते थे वो भी पैडल खेल रहे हैं.
Right.
तो यहाँ पर भी इस तरह हो रहा था. एंड क्यों पैडल कोर्ट आपने स्टार्ट किया?
यार पैडल कोर्ट शुरू भी मैंने इसीलिए किया बिकॉज आई एंजॉयड द स्पोर्ट.
यू एंजॉय द स्पोर्ट. बट आप तो काफी चीजें एंजॉय करते होगे, क्रिकेट भी या कोई और भी स्पोर्ट भी.
यार अगर मेरे उस पे होता मैं तो स्पोर्ट्स फैसिलिटी खोल देता हर स्पोर्ट बिकॉज आई एंजॉय दैट बिकॉज दैट्स द बेस्ट वे टू मीट मोर एंड मोर पीपल, राइट? बिकॉज एक फनी बैंटर हो जाता है, आप मजाक उड़ाते हो लोगों का, आप एंजॉय करते हो.
Mentally you feel good,
you feel
relaxed.
Exactly, it's like therapy, a form of therapy for a lot of people. And you meet like-minded people, right? Like आप एक अच्छा काम भी तो कर रहे हो ना, आप कौन सा एक बार खोल रहे हो या आप एक गंदी चीजों की एक एरिया खोल रहे हो. It's really to make sure everybody stays fit. It's people to break a sweat, burn some calories, maybe even get together as a family to compete and have fun. So I think that's the side of the business that I really enjoy. तो पैडल हमने शुरू इसीलिए किया था because we enjoyed it when we played it for the first time, myself and my brothers included.
But sorry, I'm sure आपने एक lucrative opportunity भी देखी होगी. It's not just that you enjoy it.
Look,
I'm sure आपने कुछ valuation models तो रखी होंगी.
Obviously, I mean you don't start anything without the मैं charity organization मैं एडी साहब तो नहीं.
Exactly.
तो
free में तो नहीं ला रहे.
Free में तो नहीं ला रहे, but एक opportunity दिखी. But ये भी तो होता है ना कि opportunity तो आपको laundry में भी दिखती है, laundromat में भी. मैं laundromat तो नहीं खोल दूंगा ना. What mattered more here is, did I even envision myself enjoying this to a point where कि मैं अगर ये खोल भी रहा हूँ और इसके जो problems और इसके जो challenges हैं आएंगे मुझे, उनको solve करने में मुझे वो नहीं होगा, lethargicness feel नहीं होगी कि यार मैं ये कर रहा हूँ because I enjoy it. And I want to find a way to make it work. It's passion.
Okay.
Because you wouldn't feel the same way in something you're not interested in at all. Like a laundromat, for example. Nothing against laundromats. I just don't have the interest for it. So I think that really plays an impact as well. So
any challenges that you have faced so far?
Injuries in the facility, verbal arguments.
But are you liable for any injuries that happen in the court?
It's not liability, right? Like अब आप अगर आए हुए हो एक कोर्ट में, आप खेल रहे हो, बराबर वाले कोर्ट में लड़ाई हो रही है, आपको मजा आएगा.
लड़ाई is different, but injury तो एक natural चीज है.
Injury तो natural, you can't control that. मैं सबको हाथ पकड़ के तो नहीं खिलाऊंगा.
Correct.
But that's one side of the things. But then there's also the side of city regulations, bylaws, health and safety standards. It's not Karachi, right? Like there's a lot of things you can get around in Karachi.
And how do you plan to attract people? Because paddle is an expensive sport, right? It's not cheap. अगर आप खेलने जाओ per hour, एक अच्छी cost होती है और आप it's not a sport जो आप हर दिन शायद खेलने जाओ because of the cost associated with it, right? क्योंकि अब यहाँ पर आप फुटबॉल क्रिकेट खेल सकते हो because public courts हैं, public grounds हैं, but paddle is an expensive sport. तो आपकी क्या strategy है? Like how would you attract people to this sport? I know it's a very famous sport, it's a very popular already, but have you thought of any strategies? I'm sure you have. Okay, that's how we're gonna attract people to the facility.
Yeah, the part about expensive, I really don't think so.
Okay,
because it's not a fancy golf course per se, where people play golf and that's $100 for a session at golf, and you play it weekly with the boys. But paddle is more so a sport where it's competitive, it's high intensity. So people don't need a gym membership if you play paddle.
Okay.
Right? Like people can share, because it's a shared cost amongst 4 people. People do it for networking, where they're like, hey, you know what, let's meet up over here and then we'll go for food after. Let's burn some calories, then we'll go eat something afterwards.
Sorry, would it be an everyday thing? Because like, why would anyone want to pay $25 per day to play paddle?
You don't have to.
Maybe a weekly thing for sure.
You don't have to. Like, I don't expect, because it's like, imagine this. Canada's, Ontario's, let's just say from my vicinity in North York, the population's maybe 500,000. Each court requires 4 people. I'm a numbers guy, so I'll give you the numbers. each court plays 4 people. If I have 4 courts, that's about 16 people at one shot for a 90-minute period. My opening hours are 8 hours. How many people do I need a day? And if I compare that with the availability of the general population, it's bare minimum. It's less than 3% of the total general population. So even if you don't show up every day and you show up once a week, I've captured you.
Okay. Or abhi hourly pricing, right? But
Yeah.
in the future, do you plan to introduce a subscription model like a monthly fee?
We already have.
Achha, you already have.
It's a league. It's a league setup where some people may not have 4 friends that are also interested in the sport.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not talking about me, but generally.
So you know, it's a tough.
Yeah.
It's a mission always to gather 4 people to play with.
Especially on a weekday, for example.
Not even a week, even if it's a weekend, right? Like everybody has things going on. They're busy. Location might be inconvenience. They may have moved somewhere else. So it's not that people don't have friends. It's just that they're so geographically dispersed that to get them all in one spot in a timely fashion on a particular day is also challenging. So we started a league where people with, the interest of playing that don't have groups, we compare them with their skill level and have them play with a team. Because there's so many people like that. They want to play, but they just don't have 4 people to play with every single day.
Chalo, good luck with the new venture. I'm very excited. मैं भी आऊँगा for sure. मैं आ चुका हूँ actually. Last 2 questions before we end this. For someone who is just entering university, right?
Yeah.
So as a professional, as someone who's successful, alhamdulillah, what advice would you want to give to that individual, that young individual? कि यार ये करो university में, ये ना करो, ये करो.
Yeah, मैं like it might sound very parental, but just stay away from any kind of bad habits and bad energy. Because I think those are the 2 things that might lead you to the wrong direction and the wrong path. That's super important. So no matter, try to find a good group of people.
अब वो वाली feel तो आ रही है.
हाँ, तो वो लेकिन वो important भी है.
Absolutely.
Because the moment, क्योंकि एक होता है ना कि आपको अगर एक चीज की आदत लग जाए तो उससे निकलना भी it's a lot of work. मोटा होना आसान है, लेकिन उस मोटेपन को लूज करना भी मुश्किल काम, वो ज्यादा मुश्किल काम है, right? So that's the way it is. बुरे डायरेक्शन में जाना आसान काम होता है, but for you to be able to head back into the right direction is going to be the toughest part. So I think I would recommend that. And I would also recommend that not to take everything so, to the heart. एक एग्जाम में फेल हो गए तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि जिंदगी तबाह हो गई है, या एक कोर्स में आपका एडमिशन नहीं हुआ, या एक जॉब पे आपकी जॉब नहीं लगी. इट्स नॉट द एंड ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. So that will teach you that resilience and that rejection. It's like going up into a bar and trying to talk to someone and getting rejected. It's okay. It's a numbers game. You move on. You'll find someone. So I think that's what I would advise.
चलो, great insights. And one last question. बहुत serious सवाल है. सबको बता दो मैं आपका फेवरेट कज़न हूँ.
यार मैं ये बताता हूँ कि
कट कर दूंगा अगर कुछ उल्टा बता दो.
मेरे चाचा की फैमिली में सबसे फेवरेट कज़न है.
ये क्या बात हुई यार?
इतने सारे कज़न्स हैं यार, सब देख रहे हैं.
हाँ तो बोल दो ना ऐसे ही for the camera यार.
चलो, for the camera, Jawad is my favorite cousin.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And guys, thank you very much for listening. If you want to build a home, you know who to contact. If you want to sell a home, if you want to buy a home, who to contact. If you want to play Padel, contact Zubair. And thank you so much for watching and listening. See you guys in the next podcast.